His ultimate green flag is, quote, be mean to me. The quickest way to my heart, he says, quote, tattoos, glasses, and mental illness.
I think once he shows her his hamster collection
Yeah.
and tells her about disc golf
She's gonna
and
meet
has
him.
her watch Wes Anderson, he's gonna have no problem finding women who will be mean to him.
Yeah. I feel
think
like
it's gonna be good.
that's the be mean to me stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Does John have any redeeming qualities, Tom? Let's take a listen.
Okay.
Welcome to Divorce with Friends. I am Bobby Vito, and it feels really good to say that. I haven't said that in a while, but welcome to Divorce with Friends, the podcast that is definitely winning some people some bets tonight. Some people are going to hear this and call their friend and say, "I told you so," and collect some money. But I am Bobby Vito. I am with you on this journey with Divorce with Friends. But I am joined by a great friend, someone who's been a sage, who's helped me through a lot of tough times, a lot of experience in this. My friend Tom.
Hi. I'm Tom.
How you feeling, Tom?
Pretty good.
The pilot, number one.
Yeah, very exciting.
I think it's going to be exciting. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do here. So as the title would suggest, as the title of our podcast, I am currently going through what some people might call it a divorce. I call it that. And it's difficult, right? So you need people to talk to. You need that friend who's going to read your text message before you send it. Tom's been great at that. He's
Not good enough, I guess.
No, you've been amazing at it. I have not been arrested, so you've done amazing. But that's really what we're going to talk about, not my situation or Tom's situation. And Tom, do you want to give a little bit of background about you really quick?
Yeah, so I'm divorced and back together with my wife.
Let me tell you, when we get to that episode, we'll get her on here. It's going to be meaty. But we're not going to really talk about our specific situations right now. This is like a first date, right? We're gonna keep it light. This is like coffee for number one. No hugs nor 5-second Frenchers, right? We're gonna keep it light. We're gonna keep it topical, and we're just gonna have some fun with it. Divorce brings out a lot of feelings, a lot of negativity, but there can be a lot of humor that comes out with it too. And honestly, that's sort of what we're hoping, that even if, the 20 of our friends who listen to it never listened past episode 1, maybe this gets to somebody who's having a really rough day and they can have some fun with us. Right, Tom?
Sure. Yeah, that's very nice. I like that.
Okay. So marriage is difficult, right? Divorce is obviously very difficult. It makes it even more difficult with kids. Would you agree with that, Tom?
Yes. Everything's more difficult with kids.
Very
Don't have
difficult.
kids.
There's a lot.
Too many kids.
There's a lot, right?
Yeah.
We'll do multiple segments per episode, and eventually we'll do co-parenting, relationships with in-laws, online therapy, group therapy, the fun stuff, right? The good stuff. We'll also get into online dating, which is sort of a new topic for me. Some horror stories, some funny things that we come about, and also some guests that we'll have on. Maybe one day we'll get to a point where we can have so-and-so on the podcast. Who knows, right? There's going to be a lot. We actually had a third on this. This was supposed to be a tripod event, but schedules, as they say in the business, the scheduling error.
Yeah, it's very hard to schedule anything once everybody has kids, right? Like, this is famous. Everybody knows this.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. So we'll have some guests. We'll have a rotating third chair, but I think you'll have fun. I think it'll be good. So Tom, I was talking about the kids, right? We're talking about the kids, and I think I'm worried about the kids. Not necessarily my kids, but I'm worried about kids as they get older.
Just broadly, yeah.
Just broadly, right? Like, you get married, you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So I was scouring the internet, finding examples of difficulties with kids and relationships and what I feel like they should be prepared for. And I came across this fine young gentleman who found himself in a very peculiar situation. He handled it like a champ, but in the end, he lost. And let's take a listen.
Okay.
People wear diapers, and I'm not a baby. And you're wearing a diaper. Well, babies wear diapers, and you're wearing a diaper. Well, I'm not a baby. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. I meant you're wearing a diaper. I'm not a baby. You're wearing a diaper. I'm not a baby, though. Yes, you're wearing a diaper. Well, I'm not a baby. You're wearing a diaper. I'm not. Well, not even a baby, though. But you're wearing a diaper. You can't say but. That's a bad word.
She got him. She nailed him.
Well, I didn't say real but. Just pretend.
I want to give this fine young gentleman kudos. He did really well. The problem is, Tom, he ran into a pro. He ran into somebody who knew what they were doing, who lulled him into a false sense of security, and then she hit him with the red herring at the end, where she brings up, he said, but. It's kind of reminded me of, and you play poker, right?
Yes.
You play poker.
Yeah.
I play poker. I'm not very good. And you know when you play against somebody like me who's not very good, even everything that you've learned is not going to work because I could,
You're completely unpredictable, right? It's like
Yes.
you could, if you play 5 hands against Phil Ivey, like you'd probably rather play 5 hands against somebody who's like mediocre than somebody who's terrible because they'd be wildly unpredictable.
Very,
Like,
very
Phil
much
Ivey's
so.
the best, or used to be the best poker player in the world.
The good news is
old now.
those people get sucked out. I get sucked out really quick, right?
Well, yeah, eventually. So, sometimes it takes longer than you think, but yeah.
Right. I get sucked out.
Yeah.
So I feel like he had a good strategy. He went in there thinking he knew the argument.
Right.
She starts with babies wear diapers. He calls
Yeah.
out specifically, "You're wearing the diaper.
Yeah.
I'm not a baby." He's like, "Listen, I'm just saying what you said back to me."
Yeah.
And when he says, "I'm not saying this, but," and she's like, "You can't say but." I feel like what happened was, kid ran into a pro, right? Who's a wonderful female poker player.
Oh, like Vanessa Selbst, I think. I haven't watched poker in a long time. Annie Duke used to be good, but I think
Annie
she's
Duke
like
was the
retired.
name I was thinking.
Yeah.
So he runs into her, and everything that he thought he was doing right along the way, she pulls out the river monster.
Yeah.
She's ready for everything.
ran over him. Yeah.
And all this kid can do is just walk away. Now I'm hoping that this is like a sister or a cousin and not some weird prearranged marriage where they're meeting early, because that's going to be a long day for them.
Yeah, that would be no. Well, yeah, that would be. I think it's kind of wild that anybody thinks that. I don't know if it's like a great parenting job or if the kid's gonna be kind of a strange kid that in 2025 somebody like a kid thinks that "but" is a bad word. That really struck out to me.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, because you can hear like parents in the background like
Yeah.
laughing, like cheering this on.
Yeah.
It was like a cockfight or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't think that the "but" was even a bad word. I think what she was doing was just a pro move.
Oh, I see.
And like he was like, wait a minute, because now he's thinking,
Wow.
is "but"
You
even a
really?
thing?
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say that the parents like.
Parents said that.
Yeah,
Okay.
which really is putting your kid at a disadvantage because like in 2025, if your kid runs around thinking that "but" is a bad word, like they're kind of, they're gonna have trouble fitting it. I would say.
That's pretty good.
If you're just narking on people telling them that like "but" is a bad word, that's like that's hall monitor shit. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like that's a real problem. Like these kids have the internet. You know what I mean?
It's definitely
Yeah.
I've gotten calls from my youngest daycare that he might have said "fuck" a couple times,
Oof.
and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck, I don't know where the fuck he heard that.
I don't know.
I don't know where the fuck he heard that. But either way, so I'm worried about the
Yeah.
kids, but I think ultimately they'll be okay. But we're going to dive into our first topic today, which, Tom, is the notable expensive celebrity divorces. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, some of these are brutal. So we have like a list here, and I certainly don't have deep expertise on celebrity divorces. I'm not like a TMZ guy usually.
Yeah.
But some of these numbers are pretty wild. So Bezos, the Bezos is an obvious one.
Yep.
Because he has a lot to lose,
What did he-
right? He
yeah.
starts with the most money.
What did
So they were married for 25 years.
Okay.
Right? And I saw too, like is he remarried now? Do you know?
He's got a girlfriend.
Girlfriend? Yeah. She was wearing like a space suit today because she's going into space for Blue Origin, his midlife crisis rocket
Really?
company. Yeah.
What's with being a billionaire and getting like a
You got to have a rocket. Well, I think, right. You think about it. It's like, you're like, oh, I've conquered Earth. I got to go
true.
somewhere else now. Right.
That's
And
true.
compete with Elon.
That's true. What year was this?
The year was 2019.
2019. Okay.
Right. And the number was 38.3 billion.
Wow.
Billion with a B.
She gave a lot of it away, I think, too.
In Amazon stock. Yeah, I think that's true. And it and so his net worth is still like 170 billion. So he's all right.
Yeah, he's doing okay.
He's scraping by. He's got a nice dad apartment, right? Like he's figuring it out.
Yeah, much
right?
nicer than mine.
It's just
This
nice,
place. So COVID has melted my brain. Obviously, I don't remember a lot of things before and then after. I feel like I remember the oddness of like being stuck in home. But so 2019, did he get divorced and then get ripped and dressed like Pitbull?
Yes, yeah, I think that was the And if you see there, people always do the sort of cliche like, oh, this is when he was young and he had he was like selling books. He was selling books,
selling
right?
books.
And he kind of looks like a nerd. And now, he shaved himself completely bald. He went all in on that, which is a move. And then got more ripped.
Dressed like Pitbull.
Which and people say that. I think somebody got do you know who Brianna Chicken Fry? Yeah. So she got flack on the internet for basically saying like a lot of celebrities are not better looking when they're young because when they're poor, they get better looking when they're rich. Basically meaning like you get surgery, you get a personal trainer, you get, right? Like there's a lot of advantages. So Jeff Bezos is obviously that on steroids, probably literally, right? I'm sure he's on TRT, right? 100%.
Yeah. If I had
legal disclaimers.
But I don't know that for a fact. I would take it. I would take. If I had that kind of money. Like,
he would definitely. Yeah. I mean, he's all the risks. Like one of the things that people think about with TRT is like, oh, I'm gonna have to be on it forever, and it's like expensive. And do I want to like commit to this forever? What if I have like a financial downturn? Right. Jeff Bezos is not like, oh, what if I'm scraping by and I can't afford the TRT payments that month, right?
No,
he's letting it fly.
He's come a long way from books, which I don't even think people read anymore. Okay, so Bezos lost 38 points.
Yeah, so that was a tough one.
Right,
that was a tough one.
That billion with a B.
So Johnny Depp, I don't know. So I don't understand. Do you know the background on this story at all with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Just like, so the numbers, I'll do the numbers.
Yeah.
But like, right. So, $7 million divorce settlement.
Okay.
From Depp, right? And Amber Heard's got her own money, right? She's a successful.
They were married, so what it means is
person.
Her money's her money. His money's their money.
Well, all right. Yeah, this is a female perspective here. When the divorce was finalized, she donated the settlement to charity. See,
actually, I think they asked her about it after the defamation lawsuit, and she declined to answer.
Oh,
I think that's what it was. I feel like
that's a power move. If you just tell people you donated.
Yeah, I think she was actually talking about billionaires. I think she was hooking up with Elon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think there's like camera footage of like her bringing him.
Well, a lot of people have been alleged to hook up with Elon, right? Like most recently, I saw this woman who was like saying on X, ironically maybe, that she had his baby and he was not like making with.
She was the
support,
conservative
right?
influencer.
Yeah.
He paid her. He paid her like $2.5 million.
So, he did eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's got. I mean, I'm surprised he's not on this list, to be honest. But he's only been married. Actually, he's not even married, right? He's
not married now. Yeah, he doesn't marry them now. He just kind of like, he's trying to
move, brother.
Yeah, move the species forward or whatever. Right? That's his thing. He says
colonize Mars. Good for him.
Underpopulated. Yeah.
Good for him. All right. So
all right.
So Depp lost $7 million. It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't want to wait.
He's got those. He's got that pirate's money too.
I don't know the whole story on whatever who did what in the thing. So Dr. Dre, which is pretty wild. Dr. Dre wildly rich, right?
Super. He's got the Beats money.
Yeah. So 2021, he had $100 million divorce.
Okay.
With Nicole Young. And he had to pay two $50 million transactions.
What is with it? People in LA deferring money all the time?
That's gonna be
like, the Dodgers took his MO. That's not that bad though.
Or she could get like the Bobby Bonilla, like she could get $1 million each year for 50 years or something. Maybe.
That's not a bad deal. All right, so $100 million for Dr. Dre. That's good.
That's pretty good. Okay, so the Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, and then so this one, they divorced in 2012.
Okay.
And he had to pay child support for Suri.
I think that ends soon, right? She's got to be almost 18.
$400K a year for 12 years. That doesn't sound like a lot for Tom Cruise, right?
What's it coming to like $4
million? He's doing
million?
Mission Impossible.
Another one. He's got 6 impossible missions.
Maybe that's why he's doing so many.
At least 5 of them have been very possible.
He's got all the payment. That's right.
5 of them have been extremely possible.
Yeah. Plus the Top Gun movie must have made a ton of money,
right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So $4.8 million.
He's got to be done soon.
Yeah, it looks like 2012 for 12 years. So it might be done.
Yeah, it might be done.
Yeah, 2024 she turned 18. So that's a tough one. But he also, I think, was like that's all the Scientology stuff too. So
he's not hurting. He's not hurting.
No, he's not hurting. I think he's probably a pretty bad actor in that. else. Yeah. All right. One of my favorites, Rudy Giuliani.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
All things Rudy Giuliani. The Four Seasons. Early August 2022. There was a lawsuit filed against Rudy.
Okay.
Right, because he didn't pay 260 grand.
Okay, so he didn't pay
Allegedly.
260. That was awarded to him in. I think she won the case maybe in 2019.
Yes.
Or the divorce was in 2019.
Yeah, that was a divorce, and that was after 15 years.
Okay, so obviously the Four Seasons things happens in 2019. No, 2020.
29. It says 2020.
But the Four Seasons thing happened in.
Oh, the Four Seasons. Yeah, maybe that was.
I don't know. First of all,
Maybe he was trying to save a couple bucks. Maybe he was skimming. Maybe he's got these divorce payments he can't quite make, right?
Yeah.
Donald gives him like a check. He's like, hey, take this money.
Don't cash this.
Go
for
get
30
us a
days.
nice place to make the announcement. He strikes a deal with the landscaping guys.
Well,
yeah.
What's funny is like, all right, so she gets the settlement in 2019, right? 260, which, for the guy who was like America's mayor and, was going to run for president at some point,
Yeah.
right? So 260, be like, that doesn't sound too high. He's an obvious deadbeat, right? He
Yeah.
can't even figure out where a good press conference should be. Four Seasons landscaping versus the Four Seasons.
That was a tough
But
beat.
she does this in 2022. It's like, lady, we saw his hair literally sweat down his forehead.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is about to happen right now?
That's an amazing fall from grace for him. Imagine if he just goes into like private life after 2021.
Well, Tom,
right?
the thing about him, his first wife was his second cousin. He was.
Is that true?
He was married to
But
his second-
really, Giuliani?
Yeah, he's a notorious cousin fucker.
That's incredible.
I swear that's true. So he's married to his second cousin in the 60s.
How did that? So see, people say that like, oh, you can't have this like gaffe or you'll never be president, right?
you can
Like
have a gaffe.
that's nonsense. He was like super famous, and people. He was very popular, right? Like after 2001 or whatever.
So I knew about the cousin thing only recently. I say recently meaning the last like 5
be a
years.
deal breaker.
There's a lot of things that should be a deal breaker, but back then, in the 60s, when he's walking around hooking up with his cousin, there's no internet.
So if you
You were
like,
wild things back then.
if you and I have talked about this, and like, if you watch The West Wing,
Mm-hmm.
right, and like whatever your opinion on The West, I'm a big lefty, so I love The West Wing. But if you watch The West Wing, the scandals on The West Wing are an absolute riot because it's like, like the advisor to the president like said something flippant to somebody on TV. Now he might get fired because it's a big scandal because everybody in America is mad at him. And then it's like people are in actuality, right? People are like marrying second cousins,
Yeah.
getting indicted for stuff, getting convicted of indictments. Like they have, right? Like this is absurd, right?
I think like 4 weeks ago, the Secretary of Defense put the publisher of the Atlantic on a signal text message. and nothing happened.
Yeah. You can
Nothing
just let it fly. Yeah, you can do like literally anything, and if you just push through the news cycle, like you're fine. It
No,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
Nothing matters.
I get pulled over the other day for an inspection sticker. So think
That's true.
think of these things, right?
Yeah.
I almost get canceled for an inspection sticker.
Yeah, people were saying that. I heard that. There's a lot of-
It's out there.
lot
Who
of
else?
rumbling.
Who else we got?
All right, so I'm gonna skip over the Michael Jordan divorce because I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. I'm sure that was fine, and he didn't do anything.
We don't want to end up in a ditch.
Yeah, that's okay. You said that, not me. Still better than LeBron. So yeah, the Tiger Woods one. So that was $100 million.
100 million.
Right?
He did. That was a wild scandal though.
Yes.
The Perkins waitress.
Yeah.
He was I think they wrote that song "Hoes in Different Area Codes."
Yep.
about him. He had a different woman everywhere.
Yep.
He was a sex addict.
Yep. But again, he's fine now.
He's doing
right?
great.
Like this is the thing too. Like people do the cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
And I do think like on a lot of these things, it's like Tiger Woods is fine. Like he's kind of not cancelable, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like he's got enough money, and people were really excited that he was a really good, like he was like the best golfer in the world.
Isn't he with
So-
Isn't he with Don Jr.'s wife now?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Which
he's
is
kinda-
a weird one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
You got to think like Don Jr. hates that because he's
Yeah, I would think maybe he's trying to.
I saw a video of like Tiger teaching the daughter how to golf, and I'm like, he hates that because this guy's a jabroni.
Yeah. Well, you can't compete with Tiger
Oh, yeah.
teaching your kid how to golf.
No,
either. That's like
I'm sure he's
that's a step out of the way.
Well, I'm sure his father emasculates him constantly, but that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, that's a bad one. Although maybe Tiger's a terrible golf instructor.
Like his dad?
Right? Yeah, like maybe that kid is just like, I wish fucking stepdad Tiger would go away. Right? Yeah.
He's making him play it. He's making him like do
Yeah,
making him do
yeah.
100 shots. In
Yeah,
the
he's right. He's like, are you gonna quit? We
eat
don't
your
quit
cereal.
here. Yeah, there's no quit.
Yep. All right. So 100 million for Tiger.
Yeah. So one that I like, or not like, but like one that's interesting is Paul McCartney. So Paul McCartney famously, I heard this quote recently.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about, so I heard this from like somebody talking about financial planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how you're supposed to, you should sort of like earn the money. And this is like one of these things that like, rich people tell you to do that's like impossible for poor people. But like you should earn the money for
Like
the
myself.
things. Yeah, right. So you should earn the money for the things you want to buy before you buy them, which is obviously good advice, right? Like I would tell my kids that, but like this is like fiscally impossible sometimes. But the reference he used was that I think it was McCartney specifically. It was a Beatle for sure. I'm pretty sure it was McCartney. They asked McCartney, like, he was like, if I want to buy a swimming pool, I write myself a swimming pool. Meaning, if I want a new swimming pool, I will write a song. And then that's going to pay for the swimming pool.
Okay.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I know that's going to pay for the swimming pool.
Because Michael Jackson bought all of his other songs.
So this would have been a lot of songs to write for this Heather Mills divorce. So they were married for 6 years.
Okay.
And she initially asked for $250 million.
Yeah, no big deal.
Which is a lot of swimming pool. That's a lot of songs.
Yeah, it's a lot of songs.
And although, like, I don't know, what do those catalogs go for? Like,
I mean, now it's like it's hundreds of millions.
yeah.
But I don't know what his net worth. I mean,
Who owns the Beatles catalog now?
he bought some of them back,
Oh, really?
but I don't know how many.
Did Michael Jackson? What was it? Who bought it?
Michael Jackson bought
Michael
it.
Jackson bought it, right?
Yeah, and then he was using it for, which I think it went up Sir Paul's ass sideways. He was using it for like Nike commercials and stuff.
Wow, yeah, and like Neverland Ranch soundtracks or
Yeah,
something.
there's some.
To play on the rides. Or something. So $250 million and was awarded $48.6 million instead. Tough break.
That is so much money considering,
Yeah.
like, think about it. 2002, 2008, right? 6 years.
Yeah.
He's not even writing new Beatles stuff. So she got Beatles money.
Yeah, she got a lot of money.
She
Yeah.
did.
That's pretty good deal.
That's pretty good.
They had
That's
a
pretty
kid,
good for her.
so,
They have a
yeah.
kid, right? They have one daughter, right?
Yeah. So,
All right. We
good deal.
got time for a couple more. Who do we got?
Okay, so yeah, a lot of bad actors get divorced. So Matt Lauer,
Oof.
that guy.
Yeah.
And so she, this was a good move by her, right? 2019, 20-year marriage, but also like right after, now it was a good move. Like, she planned it or something. It was like, but after his public scandal, right? He's got the button.
He had quite the button.
Oof, the button is,
That's a notorious button.
that is super villain shit. So she gets 20 million.
Yep. Okay.
The equivalent of 1 million for each year, right?
That's not bad.
So yeah, but again, Matt Lauer's probably got more, like these guys, right? It's like,
Well, he actually who was the guy? Not he did not do anything sexual. His daughter was on that show Girls, and he got in trouble for like saying he was on some helicopter. Who the hell was that guy?
oh,
This conversation makes no sense. But he basically got canceled for that, and I think maybe he's coming back now. He was
Yeah.
the nightly news guy.
yeah.
What the hell's his name? I'm spacing on it. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
But
yeah, all
he
right.
came back. I don't know if Lauer.
Brian Williams.
Brian Williams.
And
Brian
Lauer
Williams.
was on Girls,
And his
yeah.
beautiful daughter.
Yes.
I don't think Matt Lauer has come back from that.
No, but he's got a bunch of money though, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the thing. These guys always walk with like a bunch of money. So
Well, my favorite thing about the Matt Lauer situation is mainly the people who come out of the woodwork after it happened. Like, oh yeah, that was a well known fact that he was like this.
yeah.
It's like everybody
I love John Bernthal. You know John Bernthal?
from Walking Dead.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, great.
Oh, yeah.
Among other things,
Love
right?
it.
He's great actor. I like his interviews. He seems like a swell guy. Who knows? But he did this where he was like on the like Jim and Sam, I think, or something, right? Like one of these radio shows, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Kevin Spacey, total dick. I totally knew it. He was just an asshole to everybody on the set. I hated him. I walked out of there thinking like, oh, I really didn't like this guy." And it's like, okay. And that's fine. I probably wouldn't have done anything either.
Yeah.
But like, you could at least be like, I really regret, right? Like, oh, hey, this was almost frame it like, instead of framing it as like, I had this great instinct about this guy, it's like frame it as like, oh, this is a fuck up by me, actually.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I probably should have done something or said something to somebody somehow.
I should have told somebody before.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that always happens, and I feel like when Bernthal worked with Kevin Spacey was probably huge. I mean, Bernthal's big
Yeah.
now because he's
Right,
in
right.
everything and he's got his own podcast.
Yeah, it was Baby Driver.
Exactly, Baby Driver. So like that was probably like what 2015,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So Kevin Spacey's like cock of the walk.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hard. I guess it's hard to say something, right? When you
No, it always is. Yeah, and I'm a kind of a coward, so I probably like a pleaser, so I probably wouldn't either, but you'd have to. I just think you frame it afterwards as
Yeah.
like instead of being like, hey, I really sniffed this one out.
No shit.
Credit to me.
That's a PSA from the Divorce with Friends pod. If you think your friend is a creep, potentially molesting and
Yeah, if you think
raping
someone's a
people,
serial molester,
yeah, I probably should turn them in. Because
raise
they're probably
a
not a good friend. They're probably doing worse than that.
yeah, if they have the supervillain button, like surface that.
Yeah, so Matt Lauer will put him in the fuck him, who cares category.
Yeah,
But who else we got?
So all right, let's do one more.
One more.
So Kardashian, Kim Kardashian,
Okay.
and Chris Humphries. So the wedding was more expensive than divorce, I guess. So they had a prenup.
Oh.
So this is an interesting one because
Yeah.
like they had a prenup. They both have money. I don't. So at this time,
But does he have real money though? I know. NBA
yeah,
is
he's
a
got
crazy
NBA money.
character.
Yeah, well, that's a problem, right? It's like, yeah, how much? And you burn through stuff, and yeah.
He wasn't big. He wasn't long for the league though, right?
No, he wasn't long for the league. I mean, he wasn't a very good player. I mean, he's an amazing athlete compared to
Yeah.
human, but he wasn't very good relative to other NBA players.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think he got like a lot of endorsements or anything,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though he was with Kardashian. And if he could have gotten something like on the back end, that would have been really good for him. Because
Yeah.
obviously, like, she did. Really
But you know that we're going to end this segment here. But I'm glad we did it on the prenup. What's your thoughts? What's your takes on the prenup?
I think if you prenup is one of these things where it's like you kind of can't do it emotionally, right? I think most people don't want to do it because you're like it's planning to fail, right? Emotionally. But if you stepped back and you said if you said not for me personally, but for all marriages,
Yeah.
it's probably pretty logical. And it would probably be better for everybody if it were assume that you would have right? Because if you went into it with like, oh, everybody gets a prenup,
Yeah.
right? Like every marriage has like you have to have a prenup or something, right?
Sure.
Like you have to make some sort of arrangement.
Yeah.
That would probably be net better for everybody, right? Because it would make the divorces cleaner in the back ends.
So I want to kiss you square in the lips for
Yeah.
saying that, because it's one of those things where, like, imagine you're engaged and you say to your gorgeous fiance, you say, "I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but you got to sign this so we can get married."
Yeah.
She's going to go to her friends and they're going to be like, "Get rid of him.
Right.
This guy's
That's
a loser."
fine.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't imagine anybody going for it. But on the flip side, when that person wants a divorce, their friends aren't like, "Hey, did you go down the checklist to make this thing happen, make this thing work?" They're like, "Yeah, queen, like you weren't getting treated well enough."
Right.
Like
But
prenups are smart.
And you also could build it because it's not just like I think people like the thought about prenups is like, oh, this person got rich, so now they want to keep their money, so the prenup lets them keep their money. You could do it as like it's a prenuptial. It's not necessarily like a protection for the richer party, and you could build it like. Again, right, like in a logical, unemotional state before you're breaking up, and put in a lot of protection for like, okay, if we have X number of kids, then the wife has probably, right, like how to make Y sacrifices. So we have Z, things built in for that, right? Like so that you're not just saying like, oh, the rich person gets to keep their money, right? Like it could be a protection for both sides, right? Like the person who's making less money and the person who's making more money. Potentially.
Also, too, I read that somewhere people are putting in prenups where it's like, okay, if we get divorced for any of these reasons, then you'll get money, right? Yeah. So the reasons are like infidelity or,
right.
Gambling or something that the person who wants the prenup makes happen. And then there's also the prenups where it's like it kicks in after a certain time or it shuts off after a certain time, meaning that like if you don't get divorced within this amount of time, the prenup goes away or whatever. Those make a lot of sense, but I feel like at that point you're really betting on something failing.
Yeah, and then you almost get into like if you're getting that hyper specific that you're like, listen, if you get fat, which I'm pretty sure you will, right? Then you start to do the thing of like, this person's gonna, they're a little bit of a gambling problem, a little worried about it. You're doing like, a little too many parlays.
Yeah,
so.
You're going to end up on this list, basically. Yeah. So we get through the celebrity divorces, but let's talk about the average cost. So it's estimated that the average cost of divorce is between $15,000 and $20,000. That's pretty low, if you ask me. But there's some factors, Tom, that go into what can make a divorce be more expensive or less expensive, contested versus uncontested. If there's kids involved, obviously. State is very big. I know some people getting divorced in New Hampshire, and I hear their stories, and it's very different than in Mass. Obviously, legal representation is huge, right? The lawyers are good at what they do, but at the same time, they enjoy that paycheck. So sometimes they may give into your worst impulses to get it. And sometimes maybe they just say, no, I won't do that. But lawyers are definitely big. And then this almost goes without saying, but if you mediate, you probably won't get you probably won't be spending that much. Tom, what do you think about mediation?
Yeah, I think mediation, like, again, it's similar to the prenup in the sense that, like, if you pulled back and didn't think about your specific circumstance, right? And you said, like, how do we handle divorces broadly, you would probably always want to mediate in a way, right?
Yeah,
but again, it's like every circumstance is different. Like sometimes you can't mediate because you have like one side has got some sort of like weird unfair advantage or something like that. But yeah, like almost always, right? You're going to save like a ton of money. You can also like, you can mediate and then have somebody review the mediation agreement before you move forward.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah. So it's not like, cause I think people probably worry like, oh, what if the cause you are like, you know, mediator, it's like a therapist. It's like anything else. Like there's good mediators and bad mediators. There's good lawyers and bad lawyers. So you could have somebody like do a bad job and maybe give you a bad deal, but you can have like an extra layer. Like you can go consult somebody. You run it through ChatGPT. ChatGPT is probably like a top, like 70% lawyer now.
It's true.
Like, if you just have ChatGPT review and be like, I'm party A, like, am I getting, a raw deal? Like you're probably getting a pretty good analysis.
Yeah. Mediation is definitely the way to go if your spouse, will go along with it. Obviously, I think with divorce, there's just a lot of hurt feelings, and there's a lot of people expecting to get screwed. So mediate if you can. So knowing that, you're going to spend a lot of money, what are some tips, Tom, that we have to minimize the costs outside of mediation?
So you can do things like online, right? Like we said, like don't lawyer up is probably that's going to be your biggest like line item. You can do things online. Especially like uncontested divorces, right? So you can do like preparing and filing, and again, right? It's like if you are, if you can do it amicably, there's a way that you can kind of think about it where it's like, do we as a pair want to pay more or less money to the government and taxes and the lawyers, right? And it's like, hey, why don't we optimize for keeping the money here between the two of us, right? So like thinking about the best, so this varies, I think, like federally and state to state, but like what's the best tax advantage you can get, right? Like as you file a divorce and who makes what money, right? Like if you can work together, you can save money on that. And then how you file, right? So again, like packaging it up like, okay, let's use a mediator for this piece. Let's do this piece online, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, smart. It's one of the highlighted tips to minimize cost is don't get married in the first place.
That's good.
It's pretty good. It's probably the most solid one. But yeah, so that's the recap on the most expensive notable divorces, and then sort of what you can expect. We will have episodes and things dedicated to specific areas of this, but I'd like to move on, Tom. I'd like to move on to something a little bit more relatable, maybe to more people.
Okay.
And let's talk about the next thing that happens after you're divorced. You're single. I'm 43, dad of 2. Right. I'm working. Got a lot of stuff going on. Where am I meeting people these days, Tom?
So, well, you may be different, but we have like some data from where people meet from the Knot.
Okay.
Right.
Knot's a great website.
Yep. So where do most people meet their spouses, right? So this is spouses specifically. This is not like just anybody or hookups or whatever.
Sure.
So online dating apps, 27%.
I'll buy that.
The mutual friends, 16%.
That's a lot higher than I thought.
Yeah, that's pretty high. College, 15%. Work,
people.
10%.
Ooh, Tom, can I stop for a second? As we were putting together the show notes for this, right?
Yeah.
It hit me. I have always been a serial work dater.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's going back as far as market best.
Might be in trouble now. Yeah.
But serial.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what, I think what it is. It's you're there, right? And you're both in like a shared like hatred of where you are, probably, right? And what I can do, Tom, is like George Costanza, like I'll wear you down, right?
Yeah.
Stanza.
Yeah.
So it's over time.
Battle of attrition.
Exactly. Yeah. But like the work thing is cool because you see people in a professional setting maybe, but you see them at their best, you see them at their worst. They can kind of see that about you. And I feel like you kind of just click. It was a realization I had. I knew I always dated people at work, I haven't done it in years, obviously, because I was in such a situation. But that one started at
So
work, too.
I'm going to bring this up, and I don't have the data for this. So maybe this is like a follow-up. But I wonder what the divorce rates are on each of these.
Probably pretty high.
Because, well, they're high on everything. But I wonder if like the divorce rates are actually maybe lower on something like online dating and higher on something like work because maybe your work connection is this shared experience, almost like being like a soldier,
Yeah.
right? And then when you get out of that, right, like you go and you get married, but eventually you find out like, oh, I'm actually not that compatible with this person.
Yep.
A lot of what we had in common was just that we were at the same shitty job.
Sure.
And we hated the same things
Yep.
about that shitty job. And now we don't have that shitty job anymore. So like we hate different things about being parents or whatever. Right? Like,
And that
being
guy's
adult.
really hot.
Yeah. And that,
That guy's super hot.
Right.
But I think the worst part about working with someone you're dating or even working with a spouse, it wasn't being in a shared space of work that it made it uncomfortable. You knew the same people, right? You had the same daily experiences.
which changes, right?
But yeah,
'Cause,
but like imagine you come home and you talk to your partner and you say about your day. Well, they know your day because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
lived it with you, right?
Yeah.
So that's off the table. But you also, both of you, bring your shitty days home with you and then back to work together the next day because you're probably commuting.
Yeah, and you have all these points of interest where you talk about like so and so at work, right?
Exactly.
Like that's a shared experience.
Exactly.
Where it's harder to build that. You have to build the character
Yeah.
for your spouse.
Well, then she leaves you for that guy, and then you're like,
Yeah,
you're like,
that's
she was making fun of Bill that whole time.
at least at least you can make common jokes. You're like, yeah, well, Bill's still.
But now her and Bill are making fun of me, so that's fine.
that might
That's
be
fine. So where else we got, Tom?
So yeah, random social settings. So that's an interesting one. Social networks.
Is that like you go into a Chili's for an awesome blossom and you leave with the wife?
So I envision it as like you go to a friend's birthday party, but that would maybe be friends of friends too.
Okay.
Or like maybe, and I'm wondering where these fit in, like a meetup thing. You know what I mean? Like you're on an
truck
adult
stop?
soccer league.
Oh, okay.
You play soccer. Yeah, truck stop. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty random, I guess.
Yeah.
As a social setting. So yeah, I don't know about those. So social networks, childhood friends. That's kind of weird.
Hello. Like that kid and his friend.
Yeah. Maybe that girl. Well, although
I'm praying for you, kid.
That's
Fingers crossed over here for you.
Yeah. Church religious events.
Yep,
So that's like
absolutely.
3%. Yeah, I can see that. That would make a lot of sense. And then other 3%.
What are your guesses on other?
Well, so I would have said meetup. I would have said like the meetup, like a soccer league type of thing. Yeah, I don't know.
I got some
Meet
guesses.
cutes. What do you got?
I got 3% other. So let's go with arranged marriage.
Ooh, okay.
Arranged.
Yeah.
What about the much taboo educator student?
Ooh,
That probably happens.
I guess so. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then prison.
Yeah. Prison's a good one.
Prison's a
Prison's
good
a really good one. Or pen pal. You
Pen
pen pal one.
Exactly. Well, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like could be like those women who are obsessed with serial killers or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you find some hot dude in prison and
Yeah.
you guys are you're not prison
Sure.
gay. You're real
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I'm telling people I'm prison gay, but I'm real gay.
Yeah. You come out and you're like, oh, maybe I'll meet a nice girl. And then you're like, you know what?
I miss that guy.
I'm good. Yeah.
I guess I wasn't prison gay.
I had what I wanted the whole time.
Then he commits another crime, goes back to prison. So that's probably the other.
And maybe they join a soccer league together. Who knows?
That would be amazing.
So that's like both. You know.
Yeah. So those are the most popular. Obviously, apps are leading the way. But how do we get there, Tom?
So the history of online dating. So we have a bunch of information. So online dating was number one, right? So online dating is big, right? So like the history of online dating is pretty interesting, right? So you have like the classifieds, right? Like classifieds were like a way that people met each other.
And that started what in the 50s?
Yeah.
Maybe?
So that was like, the classifieds made like a comeback in the 60s, right?
Yep.
But they started in the 50s. So that was like a precursor, right? Because that's like,
Classifieds are very famous. The song "Escape" by Rupert Holmes, maybe the Pina Colada song.
oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
about a guy writes in a classified, or a woman writes in a classified about liking pina coladas and shit.
Yeah.
And the guy responds, and then they meet up, and it's the husband and the wife, and instead of being like, "What the fuck are you doing?" they like laugh about it, and,
Yeah.
and then there's a song.
And then it's
Classifieds.
tragic. So yeah, then there was like mail order bride catalogs.
Ooh.
That's a thing, right?
Hello.
Like
When's that,
cherry
70s maybe?
blossoms. Yeah, that was 70s. Yeah, so you would do mail order, which is I think kind of still a thing, right? Like people have like.
I've looked into it. It's
Yeah, okay.
it's a thing. And they were doing it right in the 70s.
Yeah,
Mail order
yeah.
still didn't have a lot of rights.
I think they were doing a lot of things wrong in the 70s, but that's all right.
They're probably doing most things wrong.
yeah.
But that one's pretty good.
Okay. So, and then you have like 95 as Match, right?
Okay.
Match.com. So that's like the
So
first
now we're
big
getting,
one, I think.
now we're getting into like websites, not apps though.
Right. So yeah, but you still right as like a profile, and you would message with people. Then you had like niche down, right? So then you would do that. Like there was the JDate.
Oh,
right? That was
yeah.
97.
Okay, yep, JDates.
eHarmony.
eHarmony,
2000.
another
That's for-
religious.
Christian Mingle.
Yep, we're
Yep.
going very religious.
So
Because
that
your
was like
grandmother wants you
01,
to get married.
right? And then the social networks, right? Like Friendster,
When did that
right?
start?
That was 02.
Okay.
And some other niche ones came out too, like gay, Dude's Nude.
Yep, big
was
in
one.
big in the prisons.
Planet Romeo. I don't know why the women didn't have their own kind of brand.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
gay websites? That seems
Seems
problematic.
Yeah, we're always holding them back.
Yeah, a lot of bad stuff going on in 02 still probably. Also in 02, it's Ashley Madison. Speaking of the devil.
Oh, so actually,
that-
a little research for the pod. I created an Ashley Madison
Oh
profile.
really? Okay.
Yes. So I didn't meet anybody. Spoiler
Okay.
alert.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it is what you think or it isn't what you think. I didn't really know what to expect, but I wanted to just see what it was. And it seems like you have to pay. You can join for free.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you see people in your area.
Yeah.
And some people can have their pictures blurred. But if you want to talk to them or you want to like them, you have to buy coins.
So they had a scandal, right? Do you remember this? Like they had a scandal.
Okay.
Ashley Madison, I believe, where they were caught allegedly, right?
Yeah.
The website itself was creating fake profiles
Oh, classic.
and messaging the dudes.
Classic.
So you got some,
Was that the
dude who
Netflix
looks like me
documentary?
sending messages, huh?
Was that the Netflix documentary?
Might have been, yeah. It might
So
have been.
I didn't get any further than learning about the coins. I thought it would be interesting for episode 1.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't get.
Well, I think that's like a super, and I think we'll dive into a couple online dating topics, but I think that's like a super, so like you've always had the like Manti Te'o, like these
right.
Ashley
Yeah,
Madison's
yeah.
fake profile, but it's obviously like on steroids now with AI. So
Yeah,
that's going to
yeah.
be an interesting problem
dude,
for people. Right?
I would 1000% date AI. Like that movie. That movie, Her.
It's not a problem for you.
Not a problem for me. That movie, Her, was basically
Yeah,
like a glimpse
yeah.
into the future because until she like unplugs and she starts dating other AIs.
Yeah.
You guys living the life.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie, but it's cheating having ScarJo do the voice,
That's
right?
true.
Like that's
true.
Yeah.
Somebody less hot, please.
Yeah.
All right, where are we?
Okay, so then you have like, so one that was interesting was like, so you have like the OkCupid, Plenty of Fish in like the 0304 timeline. You have stuff more like Grindr and Tinder in 09,
hello.
2012,
Hello.
right? Hinge. So those are the different. So I think those are kind of interesting because it's like the different approach. So Tinder,
Yep.
right? And then Hinge was based on your Facebook friends, right?
So I'm not on.
Is it still?
So
Or-
I've
yeah,
heard that
okay.
it's not. But
It's not anymore.
I do
but
not.
it was, right? That was I think it was like a friend of a friend. Basically,
Somebody's
right?
gonna-
It's kind of a good idea.
Well, somebody's going to correct me on this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I don't have social media anymore myself, except Twitter, which I really just use for baseball stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it was like it hooked you up by friends on Twitter. I'm sorry, on Facebook. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Right. That makes sense. They
think
kind of broadened it or whatever.
they broadened it, yeah.
But so, and you had Tinder, which was basically just like originally, I think thought of as a hookup app.
Yeah.
Maybe dating app, maybe hooking up app now. I don't really know. I'm not up to date with the kids.
Yeah.
And how they use these tools. But the thing that I thought was interesting is Tinder
Mm-hmm.
and Bumble are actually 1-2 in terms of like the current market share for online dating apps.
Tinder and
right?
Bumble?
Tinder and Bumble, 38% each. They're tied.
Yep. Because you can be on multiple.
So Bumble was started by Whitney Wolf, who was an early employee at Tinder, right? And she was at Tinder, and there were allegedly some toxic workplace issues
I can
at a
imagine.
tech bro startup. I can't imagine. Dating startup. So she didn't feel like she was being like sufficiently valued.
Yeah.
So she went out and started Bumble
Yep.
and had obviously like the novel concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of like, right, the women have to initiate because basically the data,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you were at Tinder, you would know this, right? Like the data is that men always message first,
Yeah.
right? It's like, whatever, some crazy percentage. I don't know.
Little known fact: Matt Lauer took her job at Tinder. Which
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's well,
Little known fact.
yeah, that's the button. He probably, they bought that as like IP,
Yeah.
That
Well,
was, that was an acqui-hire.
From what I can see, Tinder is definitely the I wouldn't say sleazy is not the right word.
Yeah.
But it definitely seems to be the market of just like hook up and
Right.
whatever.
And Bumble is a little bit more like,
Yeah.
I'm more serious about dating.
In my brief experience on Tinder, again research purposes, a lot of bots.
Yes,
A lot
I
of
can
bots.
imagine that. Yeah.
Hit with bots. Within a weekend of testing, 2 people asked me if I was interested in investing in gold, which I thought was pretty interesting. I was like, well, I don't know.
That's a good one. Well, you know what I know
Am I interested?
from the online marketing space? I know that the dating apps, that's the top of a funnel into OnlyFans, right? So OnlyFans pays
So
very high
you're saying I blew
affiliate
it?
commissions.
I blew it.
OnlyFans.
Making that OnlyFans money.
Yeah, you should. So OnlyFans pays really high affiliate commissions, right? If you get somebody to join OnlyFans,
Mm-hmm.
then you get a big commission, right, as an affiliate. So the way that people will do it is, right, I think, write these bots, get the attention of men, and then be like, it's a fake person, obviously it's like an AI, whatever, and then be like, oh, I have an OnlyFans. You should sign up for my OnlyFans. I'll talk to you there, right? I'd love to message you over on OnlyFans.
So they weren't asking me to do an OnlyFans.
No, they're asking you to pay for their OnlyFans. You could do an OnlyFans too, though. But yeah.
You know what? Maybe some market research for the podcast.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah,
Will get us in on that.
and then we could use this funnel. I'll message people on dating apps and get them into your OnlyFans.
Let's try to do something a little less on the nose than gold. We'll figure out what that'll be, but
Yeah.
we'll try to now that the word's out.
You might need gold. I don't know if you see what's going on in the world.
It's true. Invest in gold, everybody.
Yeah.
And my OnlyFans.
So one that I thought was interesting. So I have in front of me too, like the market share, right? So this is a 2023 survey from Statista. So Plenty of Fish was 32%, which like I didn't even know that was still a thing.
That was like the free one. I thought.
Yeah, it was a free one.
Yeah.
And it was big at a time, I think. But like
Yeah.
that's an interesting one. Grinder 26%, and these are the percentages don't add up to 100 because people have multiple dating profiles,
apps,
right?
yep.
OkCupid 24%,
Okay.
and OkCupid was always, I remember, like, again, in online marketing, like they were a very data driven company, and one of the things that I think this was OkCupid, but one of the things that I think they did that was a pretty cool test, and this is an interesting like dating app insight, was for a period of time, as almost like a split test, they took everyone's profile pictures off the app.
Oh boy.
Okay, so you can't see anybody's profile pictures. You're looking at dating applications.
User
you're looking at
profiles.
dating prospects. You're looking at user profiles, and you can't see anybody's picture. Right. So 2 things happen. This is super interesting. One, the quality of matches as they measured them, which they figure out like, oh, okay, do you end up meeting the person, right? Do you? That's basically like a conversion, right? Like it's like, okay, you talk to them and then you go meet them in real life. That's like a quality interaction. The percentage of quality interactions went through the roof, way up.
Okay.
But usage went way down because people didn't want to go make a connection with somebody without the profile picture.
Well,
people want the profile picture.
So you told
even though it's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like,
I love. So when you told me that a little bit earlier, I started to think about like why that may be, and it kind of struck me as like why ugly people did so well during the pandemic, because they wore masks, so everybody's face looks symmetrical.
the mask looks way better. Yeah, it makes
So-
you look way better, right?
You know who was left? You know why? You know why it worked out?
Yeah.
The only people that were left were like the 3s and the 2s.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah.
they got off the app because they were
Yeah.
like, fuck it.
Well, and
Don't show
another
my face anyway.
So this is another data point that and again, I think this goes to it kind of in terms of like why you end up with bad matches and everything.
Yeah.
Is like, so I there was another study where they found out, and I think this is particularly true for guys, but people rate themselves roughly 2 points higher than other people rate them. So if you say to somebody like rate yourself whatever 1 to 10,
Yeah.
people rate themselves and like people will rate themselves a 7, other people will objectively rate them a 5, but then people only want people who they deem as their number or higher.
Okay.
So in other words, I think I'm a 7.
You
So
are.
I say
He's a 7.
Yeah, I'm a 7.
7.
I got a little work to do, but it's 7 at this point. But so I think I'm a 7. So I say I only want 7s or higher. But actually, when women look at me, they're like, that guy's a 5. So I should be shopping in the 5 category,
Yep.
right? Because the women who are 5s want a 5, or whatever. But like I'm actually shopping at 7, so that's part of the reason I'm striking up.
I'm blown away by this. I don't know what I would rate myself. I would not go a 7, mainly because if you say you're a 7 and then like you ever see those videos and they're like, what would you rate this person? And then the guy says 7, and then they bring him around to the next person, and then they're like, what would you rate this person? And the girl's like a 5 or something. You could just see how like deflating it is.
Yeah. Well, also there's a hack too. When you rate things,
Okay,
and I
okay.
do this with my kids when I make them like rate things,
Yeah,
like
teach
how
them.
much did you like this thing?
Yeah.
You don't let people pick 7 because everybody gravitates to 7.
Yeah. I would never.
So you
say
make
7.
them go 8 or 6 or higher or low. But yeah.
So I would be. You know what I would do? My move. I'd be like, I'm a 4, right?
Right.
Because then some girls are going to be like, hey, you're not a 4.
Oh,
You could be a 7.
He's a 4.
This guy could be a 7.
Yeah. He's
but
so
I don't
humble.
Wanna, but I don't want to go in. I'm not going to go in super high. I do that in my
That makes
reviews too.
sense.
My reviews at work, I go low, and then they're like, "What are you nuts?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, so if you're in the 10 bracket, you're competing with 10s. Right?
Oh,
So it's
I
like, that's tough.
yeah. You know what? Then I'm happy to be moderate.
You could be at the gym. There's a body fat percentage there. That's probably a problem.
That-
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that's a restricting lifestyle.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the those are the most popular? What's the least popular?
So the ones that people don't like, again, according to this survey, no, this was a Reddit poll. Reddit poll worst dating apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So eHarmony, people don't like.
So I can tell you, eHarmony was another one I joined prior to this just to see what it was like.
Is that religious or no?
Well, you do like a questionnaire,
Okay.
and everybody on there is miserable looking. I'm not saying they're 5, 6, 7s, or 10s, but everybody's just miserable, and the interface is shitty, and I can see why people get off it.
Yeah, but you probably would have found your soulmate if you'd just done the profile and not looked at the, you know what I mean? The
You think
pictures.
so?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. The OkCupid data states that. But you got off. You wouldn't do it.
Tom, I'm
Because you want the profile pictures. You know what I'm saying?
We're doing a podcast.
You're addicted to the profile picture.
No, Tom, we're gluttons for punishment, which is why we're doing a podcast. There's no way I'm marrying a girl beneath my station.
Okay, fair enough. Zooks, I don't even know what that is.
I don't
What's
know what
Zooks?
Zooks is, yeah.
Okay, we'll skip that. OkCupid, which I just mentioned.
Yes.
So people don't like that. I think those like look older, right?
Yeah,
Like that's why
like
people hate
eHarmony.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interface, because I don't know who like owns those or how like, you know what I mean? Like how often the UI is updated and stuff with those. But it's like there's a
I think
probably a
they're
gravity
owned
to them.
Match in eHarmony.
Just bought up like everything.
Yeah, like they're owned by like one, like a couple of them owned by like one
It's
company.
like the candy companies. Where
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, this is like a, Reese's, but you're like, no, actually,
It's Hershey's
owns
now.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Tinder.
It's the
But
worst.
that's the way people say the word. But I think that's kind of like, how people are like, oh, this thing's the worst. They sold out. This is the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It went too mainstream for them.
Right. But people are using it, right? It's like I use it all the time, but I complain about it.
But they complain because now they're not being asked to invest in gold.
Right.
I think that's really what's coming out. What's coming out to be.
They need to get an OnlyFans profile to kind of funnel people through to it.
All right, so that's the most that's the least popular dating sites.
Yeah, those are the least popular.
Well, we will have a future episode of the pod coming up where we talk about dating site horror stories. I have a few. I have a few from even I did Match.com back in 2010, maybe 2011, before it was an app.
Okay.
And it was like I had to like go into like a room at the office and like lock the door and go incognito. I get some good stories about that, but we'll talk about a little bit of
Okay.
that stuff.
I want to know more about the gamification too. I think we should talk about like
How people
the
do
tactics.
it. Yeah.
How
So
people do it, best
little-
practices.
'cause
I
it
think
could be a
people-
full-time
I think
job.
that's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure.
It could
Yeah.
be because like if you it almost gets to the point too when you have them where it becomes like the app that you like. How many times have you looked at your watch or your phone to get the time, and then as soon as you look at it, you're like, what time is it?
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're
Yeah,
doing it anymore.
yeah.
I think if you get really sucked into those apps, and it happens with like Instagram or Twitter or whatever,
Yeah.
You kind of just like it becomes like second nature to go do it.
Totally. Yeah.
So in a way, signing into
Dopamine.
Dopamine,
Yeah.
exactly.
Big
But like
dopamine.
in a way, the uncomfortableness of like getting an office room or like a call room and like going incognito and like checking periodically through the day was better, right? Because that was like you had to really decide if you want.
Yeah, you should have friction for right. You should have friction in life. Things that are frictionless like that, right?
Yeah.
Like frictionless access to that kind of dopamine. It just seems like categorically bad.
Yeah.
Back to worrying about the kids. Like that's going to be terrible.
But we'll have more kind of deep dives. This as I said, this is our coffee date. This is our first podcast. But with that in mind, we do want to introduce a new segment. Hopefully, it'll be one of many we're going to do. And it was inspired by the bad profiles that are on these dating sites. So we crowdsourced for this one, Tom, and we called in a ringer. We called in a friend of the pod, as they say in the industry. And she had no problem finding a bad profile. It's pretty great. So let's take a listen to our great friend of the pod. What does Lindsay have to say about the segment known as the No Dick Bozo of the Week?
Hey guys, it's Lindsay calling from Connecticut. I'm calling with a nomination for your No Dick Bozo of the Week. And I am nominating John from Connecticut.
All right, so we're going to pause there. So John from Connecticut. This
Okay.
is about a minute long.
Yeah.
Lindsay, we respect.
Feel bad
you.
for John.
And you know Lindsay, right?
Yeah.
Lindsay, right? So we're gonna feel bad for John. Ultimately, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hear you out, right? But if we don't agree, he might
Yeah.
not get the nomination.
Wow. Okay.
Because I don't think we should just take everybody's word for it. Because
Yeah.
like any of us could end up at somebody's no dick bozo of the
This is
week.
Bobby Vito or Bobby Veto. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Right? Am I
Exactly.
right?
You veto and Bobby, or you veto?
Yeah.
Right. All right. So what else does she have to say?
The week. And I am nominating John from Connecticut. He is a 40-year-old dude with a full leg piece and all gym mirror selfies that I'm pretty sure were taken on the same day.
So explain to the listeners what a leg piece is. What's a
Okay.
leg piece?
So she's already kind of describing me because I have a sleeve. I have a sleeve on my left arm.
It's a tattoo.
It's a tattoo.
for the kids.
It's a
Got it.
giant canvas piece.
Yep.
But a leg piece is distinct, right? Because it usually goes on the calf or the quad.
Right.
Quad is notoriously douchey. Mainly because men have hairy legs, which means
You're
that
at the gym.
you're
You probably got some, maybe you got some big quads.
that's true, but like most men have hairy legs, right? So are you shaving that thing? Are you letting it hide? I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So she kind of described me. I'm not on your team yet, Lindsay. Let's see what you got.
He is into, quote, dancing, experiences over possessions, disc golf, Wes Anderson
Yikes.
films, parallel parking, and hamster.
There's a lot right there.
Okay, so
Hamsters is like the non sequitur. It doesn't count. It doesn't fit.
I got a couple. So disc golf is a deal breaker.
Oh, yeah,
I think like disc golf is.
She's got my vote.
You've never met anyone who is like a likable person who plays disc golf. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I don't think. I think that's a bad one. Although maybe that helps the quad tattoo or whatever.
Yep.
Right. This is very active. But I don't think you want to put that you're into hamsters on a dating profile. No.
Well, it leads to some questions about like what else you're
Yeah. What
into,
level?
right? We're talking about Richard
Gere,
Gere.
yeah,
We're going Richard Gere. With
Yeah. That's a bad one, I think. And if you're a hamster enthusiast, like that raises a lot of questions about like upkeep.
Yeah.
And like, how does your so if you're a person who is like has a pretty good like leg tattoo that you're maintaining and maybe you're shaving your leg, then I would maybe give you credit that you're cleaning up after your hamster. But if you're into hamsters, plural,
Plural and parallel parking.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson, probably not though.
Wes Anderson. Some of those movies are good, but I think if you're a person whose identity is Wes Anderson, that's you probably like disc golf.
That's true. That's actually his market. Right?
Yeah.
His ultimate green flag is, quote, be mean to me. The quickest way to my heart, he says, quote, tattoos, glasses, and mental illness.
Oh,
I think once he shows her his hamster collection and tells her about disc golf
She's gonna be
and
into
has
him?
her watch Wes Anderson, he's gonna have no problem finding women who will be mean to him.
Yeah. I feel like
it's gonna be good.
that's the be mean to me stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But does John have any redeeming qualities, Tom? Let's take a listen.
Okay.
It shows he cares by, quote, making you finish first multiple times.
Wow.
And there you have it. The no dick
Wow.
bozo of the week is John from Connecticut.
Did he save it? I don't know.
Well, I got to tell you. So, Lindsay, thank you very much for the submission.
Yeah, that was great.
I feel like John was like a good movie. It was up, I was
Yeah,
down.
a lot of twists and turns.
At first,
yeah.
I was like, all right, he's got a tattoo. It might
Yeah.
be in a douchey spot, but I can relate to it.
Yeah, I just listened to Dylan's song on the way over. He contains multitudes.
Yeah, multitudes,
Right? Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And he likes a girl with glasses.
Yeah.
Right. So like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, remember Nerdy Hot in Belmont?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Glasses
that's cool.
is fine.
Yeah,
Tattoos are great, but everybody likes tattoos. But
And he's a giver. Did you notice that? At the
he's a
end?
giver. Yeah, that was. I mean, I feel like that almost saved it for him, right?
Yeah.
Like he was careening off the road and then kind of like turned it back on. I feel like seems like
I'm almost torn about John, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can see what she would say. He's the no-dick bozo of the
yes,
week.
yeah.
But he's doing some good things for you. I'll tell you what, Tom, if you're cool with it, since the first one and Lindsay put herself out there, made herself vulnerable, I think we should give it. I think we should.
No,
say
I
it.
think the disc golf alone is.
Yeah, exactly. So what I think, Tom, right now is we should, why don't we go ahead and give John a round of applause to be the first ever Divorce with Friends No Dick Bozo of the Week. All right. So that was John. Lindsay, thank you very much. Tom, how long have we been doing this, dude? Let me take a look. We've been 1 hour.
Wow.
You know what's funny about that 1 hour, though? We thought that we were going to go like 30, 40 minutes and have to promise everybody that we would go much longer the next time.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what we thought. All right, so Tom, as we come to a close, just want to do some thank yous for everybody this was sort of a passion project. We everybody we told was super supportive. They're all asking Tom and I when this is coming out, as if it's going to do anything. We don't expect this to do anything. We don't have any sponsors. We don't have any money coming in. This is just something we do really just to hang out. It's fun to hang out. So again, I want to thank everybody for their support. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't enjoy it, well, go fuck yourself. Go find another free podcast. No, but if you did enjoy it, why don't you let us know? And you can let us know by emailing us at divorcewithfriends@gmail.com. You can check us out on Twitter at divorcewfpod and YouTube at divorcewithfriends.com. I think that's, Tom, where this will be posted. We will eventually try to get on the other streaming sites, the Apples and the Spotifys. I feel like with them, we just need the finished product and we can get that on. So if we can get this going, hopefully we'll do every 2 weeks. And then when things settle down, we'll do weekly. As I said, it'll be a journey, it'll be a lot of fun. So I hope you come along. But to close, I want to thank the writer of our theme song. Tom, what did you think of our theme song?
Awesome. Theme song was great. It was really great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So do you know who wrote that?
No, I don't.
It was a friend of the program, Dean Corsi. Dean is from Watertown, extremely talented, but as talented as he is, he's that much better looking.
Really?
Can you imagine that?
Does he have a leg sleeve or no?
No leg sleeve that I can think of. Phenomenal ass, though.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenal. But he is married, ladies, so hands off the merchandise. But if you do get out to the Watertown area, go check out Dean. You can see him on Instagram at instagram.com/Dean Corsi Music. Again, that's instagram.com/Dean Corsi Music. He will be the intro for our pod for going forward. I feel like it's a hit. We sent it around. We shopped it around. Some people were like, I don't know who did that, but it sounds like he's got a great ass. That's exactly what they said. So from Tom and I, Bobby Vito at Divorce with Friends, we just want to thank everybody for coming on this journey with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, Tom.
Agreed.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.